All right. Welcome, everybody. I'll ask, did you bring your optimism tonight? Yeah. We're so happy to hear that and to see you here today. This evening's event is all about optimism. It's all about solutions. And that's what we're all about here at Echoing Green. So I want to welcome everyone to the Future of Work Social Innovation Challenge. I'm Jana Oberdorf, the Vice President of Communications at Echoing Green. And we're so thrilled to be here tonight in the Rise New York, talking about the future of alongside Smart Cities New York Conference happening this week at Pier 36. Yeah, colleges and universities across New York City. They'll be sharing big, bold ideas for addressing some of the biggest challenges facing New York City and workforce development. I hope you'll listen deeply to their ideas and leave today not only inspired by their ideas, but ready to support them as they bring their vision to reality. We'll also be joined later in the program by Michael Blake, New York State Assemblyman for District 79 in the Bronx, who will talk a little bit more about how he thinks about social innovation and the future of work here in New York City. But first, I want to make sure to bring up Cheryl Dorsey, President of Echoing Green, and Mark Thane, Director of Social Innovation at Barclays, to welcome you all and share a little bit more about this partnership. So Cheryl, come on up.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We can do better than that. Good evening, everyone. That is awesome. You are a sight to behold. I'm so thrilled to be here again. Thank you, Jana, for kicking us off. As Jana said, my name is Cheryl Dorsey. I am president of Echoing Green, and I'm also an Echoing Green fellow. I'm going to stop saying which year it is because it was so long ago, and it just really ages me, so I'm not going to say that. But I am a proud member of the Echoing Green community. For those of you who might not be familiar with Echoing Green, for more than 30 years, we have been in the business of identifying transformational leaders at a very early stage, investing deeply in the growth of not only their ideas and their leadership, but also their enterprises, and most importantly, focused on building a very broad ecosystem that will support them in their work long into the future. Since inception, we have now invested in over 750 social entrepreneurs, now working in like 80 plus countries around the world, including some terrific New York-based social entrepreneurs, many of whom I think you probably have heard from Hot Bread Kitchen, Block Power, Community Word Project, Tomorrow's Leaders NYC, Freelancers Union, and a number of terrific civic leadership organizations like Green City Forest, Blue Engine, City Year, and Teach for America. Okay. So again, as Jana said, we want to welcome you to this Future of Work Social Innovation Challenge at the beautiful Rise space. This is my second time here, and it's really quite extraordinary. So thank you for hosting us. We're really excited this evening to hear new ideas for the future of work in New York City, but most importantly, from emerging innovators. And from Echoing Green's perspective, what makes this challenge so important is that it's about sparking and sharing new ideas for the future of work from emerging social innovators. Echoing Green believes so very deeply that social innovators like these young folks are going to really play a pivotal role in defining the future of work in New York City in a way that works for everyone. And what makes more sense than eliciting ideas on the future of work from the workforce of the future? Just makes a lot of sense, at least to me. And it also means a lot to us that we were able to draw top talent, top students from some of our area's top educational institutions, including Teachers College, CUNY John Jay, City College, CUNY Baruch, Columbia and NYU, as well as students from UPenn and MIT. A really stunning array of talent, so we're excited to hear from you guys. And most importantly, we are super grateful to Barclays for its vision for this challenge and for your continued partnership to accelerate innovation and impact in the ever-growing Echoing Green ecosystem. And just to give you a sense of your journey and where you all are on your way to, I was rushing over here getting ready for this evening, and I got this press release from Grinnell College that this time every year announces the annual winner of their $100,000 prize for social innovation and social justice. And yet again, the 2018 winner is an Echoing Green Fellow, a terrific young woman, Melanie Marcel, who founded an organization called So Science, which is in the business of bringing social innovators and scientists together to collectively work on solving some of the greatest global challenges of our time. So it's nice that the marketplace is beginning to recognize top next-gen talent and invest and back folks like you. So we're really excited for Melanie. So before I turn over the stage to Mark, and I will introduce him shortly, I just really want to again thank the Barclays team who worked so closely with Erica and the rest of us here at Echoing Green to bring this day to fruition. I'll introduce Mark shortly. One of the terrific judges tonight, Claire O'Connor, thank you so much. Elizabeth Comer, thank you so much. Debbie Goldfarb, and I think John is not with us. John Kinney is not with us either. So thank you to everyone for making this possible. And we'll again introduce our judges shortly, but also want to thank Eric. Thank you so much to Smart Cities New York for partnering with us to connect this important next-gen event to the conversation that you all started yesterday and we'll have through tomorrow. We're super excited to be a part of it. Okay, so before I get to the good stuff, I want to talk a little bit about this partnership. We know how important it is for the public, private, and civic sectors to work together to create really good jobs for all New Yorkers. And again, I can't underscore it enough. We deeply believe that social innovators are going to play a pivotal role in stirring and spurring that conversation. And again, I think it's really terrific for Echoing Green to be in partnership with Barclays to bring this sort of collaboration to life. You can learn more about this partnership at our website. Please just go to echoinggreen.org/Barclays. Just to give you a little bit more, I will now turn the stage over to Mark Thane. Mark is the head of citizenship programming in the Americas and director of the Barclays Social Innovation Facility, which is an internal accelerator for the development of commercial solutions to both social and environmental challenges. As a leader of the social innovation team at the bank, he oversees a portfolio of investments and directs a pipeline of new opportunities that help social innovators and entrepreneurs thrive. Mark has been a tremendous thought partner and supporter of Echoing Green's work, and I'm excited to welcome him to the stage. Mark, please join us.
Well, thank you, Cheryl, and you make my job sound so cool. It's so great to see you all here. Cheryl, your team have been amazing. We're so much looking forward to this evening, and I'm glad to see that everyone has come out to join us. We're going to have, I think, 7 awesome pictures to see. At Barclays, I probably have the best job in the bank. I have the privilege of working with organizations like Echoing Green, and there is no better organization in the city working on kind of future solutions and entrepreneurial models. So we are so proud to call you guys a partner. At Barclays, we focus on employability. We think about that in terms of job training programs, taking a kind of demand-led approach, looking at where are the fastest growing sectors for future employment and how can we help folks to get pathways into those jobs, as well as job creation programs. But we're also thinking about like social innovation and the future of work. And as the future of work changes and the future of the workforce changes, driven by things like technology and AI and all these different kind of moving parts around the gig economy, the future of workforce development funders and the future of programming in this space also has to change. So we're delighted to be trying this model out with Echoing Green, starting to think about who are those innovators, and as Cheryl said, the future workforce are going to be the ones that help to find the future solutions for us. So we're really pleased to be here. I would just say it's pretty intimidating to try and explain your idea in less than 2 minutes. We've given these guys literally 2 minutes to explain an idea. So everyone, please, sit forward in your seat, smile and nod, encourage them as they come up on stage. Clap as loud as you can, cheer as loud as you can. I think I've been in Barclays 10 years and I can't explain what I do in less than 5 minutes. So how they're going to spend 2 minutes doing this is pretty impressive. So please, Jana, I think I'm handing to you, but please enjoy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mark, very much. Great. Thank you both. Before we move into hearing our big, bold ideas from our finalists here, let me just tell you a little bit about the road that we took to get here tonight. Over the last few months, Echoing Green has read applications from young people and students across New York City with ideas for solving some of the biggest challenges facing the future of work. These top 7 ideas will be presented tonight, each representing a team of students who work together. They are one, but they are representing many to submit an application. This morning, these teams were able to receive coaching and mentorship from our partners at Barclays and participated in workshops on social entrepreneurship with Echoing Green. And I just want to say thank you to anyone and all of you who participated in reading applications or mentoring or coaching this morning, sharp and concise. And then they are going to be evaluated by our incredible judges. And Cheryl already previewed, but I'll do a formal introduction to Claire O'Connor, Managing Director and Head of Loan Capital Markets at Barclays. Claire brings more than 30 years of experience in banking and has been responsible for leading a number of the largest global capital raises in the industry. So thank you, Claire, for joining us as a judge. Eric Verkerke, did I say that right? Verkerke is co-founder and chief creative officer of Emergence Creative, the creative agency dedicated to social impact. The Emergence team partnered to found and grow Smart Cities New York, where Eric also serves as the creative director. He brings a blend of entrepreneurial and scientific insight to engage a modern global audience. So thank you, Eric. And last but not least, we are thrilled to have Erica Hamilton, principal at Arbor Brothers, which finds promising social entrepreneurs and helps to grow their ideas into high-impact forces for change. She most recently served as executive director of City Year New York and has also led work for Prep for Prep, iMentor, and much more. Yeah, thank you. So these judges will be evaluating our finalists on a set of criteria that evaluates both the idea's impact and the potential of the individual leader. For Echoing Green, this is really how we think about our fellowship model. We are all about investing in leadership potential. So it's important for us that we look for things like passion, resilience, leadership, and the ability to attract resources and support to your cause. And our panel of judges will also be looking at whether the idea, the organization, is innovative, solves an important problem, has the potential for big impact, and is grounded in a solid business model. At the end of today, we'll award one team the winner, and that team will receive advancement to the second round of next year's Echoing Green Fellowship application process, 5 consulting hours from Echoing Green over the summer to help launch their ventures, business plan review and feedback from Barclays, marketing and branding support from Emergence Creative, and the opportunity to pitch to a live and virtual audience at an upcoming Echoing Green event. So we're really excited. And just to say that, as Cheryl referenced, supporting young leaders at this stage is so important at this early stage. Investing early means that these young leaders will have the opportunity to test, to innovate, and to grow into the impactful leaders they know they can become. So we just want to thank you all for being here tonight and supporting. The last thing I'll ask you to do is to pay attention. We will, at the end of tonight, ask you all who your favorite is, a little audience fan favorite voting here, and we'll have at the end the ability to text in your favorite contestant finalist, and that team will receive additional consulting hours from Echoing Green as well. So pay attention, take a little notes at the end, and you'll be able to vote for your favorite. So now I'm going to move on to our pitches. Are our finalists ready? Here we go. First and foremost, I am going to welcome to the stage Asha to present her organization, Best Fit.
Think about the biggest gamble you've ever made. Would you believe me if I told you it was the pursuit of your college degree? Each year, millions of students invest in college essentially sight unseen, and they do so with misconceptions about their career goals and how college can help them achieve them. As a result, less than 50% of those who enroll will graduate, meaning we can predict college success with the flip of a coin. These students are overwhelmingly low income, first generation, and underrepresented. They lack access to the time, money, and social capital needed to identify their best fit college. and their failure to complete has costly consequences for both the individual and our society. When students don't graduate, it perpetuates income inequality, and companies and universities miss out on the talent and innovation they would bring to the table. What if we could help students identify their best fit college while helping institutions expand their diversity initiatives? Best Fit does just that. Best Fit disrupts the status quo by combining technological innovation with authentic narratives. We connect with students where they already are, using video-based near-peer interactions that are as natural to students as Instagram or Snapchat. As students engage with the app, they connect with current college students who know what success looks like and how to achieve it. At the same time, colleges use Best Fit to expand their demographic and geographic reach. Instead of losing students across different social media platforms, Best Fit offers a focused, intentional space for college discovery. We are a group of educators and innovators with experience in higher education, finance, and software development. And in just 4 months, we've taken Best Fit from an award-winning idea to an incorporated company that is broadly recognized for its innovation and research. We look forward to your support as we continue to empower students with the knowledge and social capital needed to identify their best fit college.
Wonderful. All right. Go, Asha. Up next, we have Stephen, who is presenting Connector.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Stephen Pacheco. You probably couldn't tell by looking at me that I'm a formerly incarcerated person. In 2014 of August, I was released from the Ulster Correctional Facility with the clothes on my back, $40 in my pocket, a voucher to get into a homeless shelter, and a bus ticket to Times Square. Unfortunately, this is the reality for 2.5 million people locked behind cages as we speak. Now, you may be wondering, what are you going to do to fix this problem, Stephen? Well, before I take you there, I must let you know that Connector is an app-based platform that plans to prioritize employment services for this very population, but it doesn't stop there. We're also going to have a holistic approach that takes into consideration housing, educational needs, social services, and any other thing that may be needed for somebody in this particular situation. Now, I had no clear path to a stable life. But the flip side is we no longer have to do this anymore. We've been staring at the problem for far too long. 2.5 million people. All of you wonderful people in here are paying $70,000 per incarcerated person on an annual tip. So what we plan to do is the Connector app is take that $70,000 sunk cost and turn it into a $70,000 gain. Now, you may be wondering, how are we going to do this? Well, we're looking at this from 3 different perspectives. First and foremost, we're looking at the justice affected population, which doesn't end with people who are formerly incarcerated, but we're also looking at the families, their friends, and their loved ones, and the extensions of that. And we're figuring out how we can best pair where you are at with your skills and your needs and find an employer that is looking to hire you. There are B corporations who look to do socially responsible things while making a financial benefit for the overall good of the economic system here in America. Now, the other 2 parts are policymakers as well as employers, as I mentioned. The policymakers will be making policy recommendations which are already available to the public, but we will also have policymakers learning from others how to make more inclusive practices for the rest of this population. Now, you're wondering, how does this impact you as a larger community? We have a huge recidivism issue in America. And by impacting this population, we can guarantee safer communities, which would improve a quality of life for all of us. We are Connector, and we are approaching this problem head on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. Up next, we have Carrie presenting Emma's Torch.
Last year, I met a young woman from Saudi Arabia, living in a shelter after fleeing her country. She struggled to find a job with upward mobility and lacked the luxury of time or money for any sort of training. Her dream was to become a chef. Today, she leads the Oyster Bar at one of the best restaurants in New York City. Since starting there, she's been promoted twice. Her dream of becoming a chef has become her reality. So what happened? Hi, I'm Carrie Brody, and I'm the founder of Emma's Torch. We're a nonprofit restaurant in Brooklyn that provides culinary training and job placement services to refugees and survivors of human trafficking. Because the culinary industry is a clear place where what our students bring to the table matters. We provide 400 hours of paid culinary training and job placement support, and so far, we have an 100% success rate with job-seeking students. But we don't just benefit our students, we're also helping to solve an important labor gap. Over the next 10 years, the need for trained chefs is expected to grow at an unprecedented rate, yet chefs are already struggling to fill their kitchens. We open up these opportunities for our students, and we help employers find better job candidates, because together, we can bring diversity to our kitchens and to our menus. And that is what makes America truly great. Our namesake, Emma Lazarus, penned the words on the Statue of Liberty. She urged us to give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Well, tonight, I urge you, invest in our students, help them pursue the future of the American workforce and the American dream.
Thank you, Carrie. And next we have Mahmoud presenting Flora Mind.
Hi. Our future of work conversation is inherently a future of education conversation. Today, we're talking a lot about digital skills, we're talking about technical savviness, but we're not talking enough about mental resiliency and emotional management. When teenagers are not taught these vital skills, they're much more likely to develop negative coping methods and mental illness. 1 in 5 of our teenagers today are suffering from a mental illness. And when they do, they're twice as likely to drop out and 4 times less likely to be employed and to go to college. We have to teach these teenagers these very key, important skills for them to flourish in their lives. And that's why FloriMind is here. We teach students mental health knowledge and emotional intelligence through in-person workshops and a digital platform. With our work, we're teaching students the most important skill that they need in order for them to cope and flourish in their lives. We've already done our first workshop, and we have 3 others in the sales pipeline. Our approach includes teaching students to help them understand what they're going through, to cope correctly with the problems in their life, and giving them the skills they need in order to be emotionally intelligent. We're excited to announce that FloriMind has already received $26,000 in funding from recent competitions, which will help us in curriculum building, developing our digital platform, and hosting over 50 workshops by spring of 2019. We're a team of experienced entrepreneurs who have worked at top organizations like the United States Marine Corps, Facebook, and Accenture. And with your help today, we can empower and educate our youth in mental health education so that they can flourish in their lives and be ready to become the next generation of our workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Mahmoud. Up next, we have Georgie Ann, who is going to present Illicit Mind.
In 2013, I launched my first entrepreneurial venture, and I was lost. I began drowning in the massive amounts of information out there. I didn't know where to start or what resources would serve me best. I went to a ton of events. I read hundreds of books, and I joined every group that I could find out there. And when I quit my job to focus on entrepreneurship, my friends and family thought I was borderline insane. I didn't have the necessary tools, network, or support to become a successful entrepreneur. And that's when I realized there was a huge problem in the way underrepresented innovators in the tech and startup space were being served. It wasn't because of a lack of skill or ambition, but due to a lack of social capital, financial capital, unconscious biases, and living in innovation deserts. That is why at Illicit Mind, we help diverse innovators develop tools, their network, and get support to develop their businesses, their tribe, and their talent. We do so by charging our clients, who are companies and organizations that want to make impact, for us to produce events and digital content. And then our end users, who are 2,400 individuals to date, then get to attend these events and participate in our programs and get that additional support that they need. We know that there is a systematic issue at hand in why there are not more entrepreneurs that look like me turning out to be the next big unicorns like Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg. And at Illicit Mind, we're here to change that. We are where diverse innovators grow. So join us today at Illicit Mind.
Great job. Up next, we have Vivian presenting Rise.
Take a moment and reflect back on your bosses and your boss's bosses, the industry titans who head up leading companies and innovative organizations. Chances are they look nothing like me. It's no secret that despite the fact that women make up 57% of college grads, we head up only 5% of Fortune 500 companies. This lack of female leadership is not due to the lack of abilities, but rather outdated cultures and work norms that offer zero work-life compatibility. 70% of women who exit the workforce name flexibility as the culprit. This brain drain precipitates around the age of 30 at mid-career when women become mothers. We are fixing the issue at this inflection point by reinventing work to be more diverse, inclusive, and not one size fits all. Rise is a women-focused technology platform that connects our members with the world's most forward-thinking companies. We provide access to project-based, part-time, as well as full-time opportunities to those who want advancement, work-life harmony, in addition to a fair paycheck. According to a McKinsey survey, 90% of companies hope to retain women. Rise is the solution to support that. Traditional corporate benefits such as health insurance, retirement planning, and mentorship are not accessible to a 1099 worker. We imagine a new way of flexible work with all the full-time benefits. My name is Vivian. I am the founder and CEO of Rise. Prior to taking the leap to entrepreneurship, I honed my skills at Wharton, L'Oreal, and Greenhouse Software, a leading technology startup that helps the likes of Uber, Airbnb, and Snapchat find their best talent. Together with my CMO, Sarah, and MIT-trained CTO, Jose, we hope to bring Rise out of the MVP stage to become a leading hub of tomorrow's women. So together, we can all rise.
Wonderful. And our final presenter tonight, Akiwa, is going to present Women Everywhere Believe. I said it right. Akiwa. I'm sorry.
Take a look at the people in the room around you today. More than half of the women in this room will struggle to attain leadership positions within the workforce. My name is Akuyo Binger-Crofi, and I am the co-founder of We Believe, Women Everywhere Believe. We seek to address the problem of the leadership gap within the workforce today. Currently, women occupy more than almost half of the workforce population, 48% to be exact. However, women represent less than 10% of CEO seats, and among this group, women of color represent 0%. We hold no seat at the table. We Believe seeks to address this problem by training the next generation of civic and corporate leaders while centering the voices of women of color. We do this through our intergenerational pipeline, which is three-tiered. At the top of our pipeline model is our women professionals who dedicate their time to training, mentoring, and networking with our college women. Our college women then in turn build their leadership skills in areas such as network development, project and management, entrepreneurship, and navigating institutions in order to prepare themselves to implement our curriculum into middle schools. Our middle schools girls then are taught and learn different areas such as career planning, introduced to spaces within the STEM field, and they also practice public speaking in order to hone in on these leadership potential skills. Since building We Believe, within 2 years, we've been able to expand to 13 chapters across 7 states, and we're currently expanding to 30 additional chapters by the end of the year. We're also launching our digital pipeline platform, which extends membership to women who want to join the movement but may not be able to begin chapters or may not know how to start. We Believe is a mission that looks to be able to hone girls and train women to be able to be competitive in these spaces and to be able to tip the scale in order to get women to hold leadership positions within the workforce. Thank you.
Amazing. I'm going to ask you to applaud again. One more time. Incredible. You guys can come and take a seat. I'm super impressed that everyone stuck to 2 minutes. That was really amazing, guys. So you've heard all 7 ideas from our young leaders. Remember to think about which one is your favorite. As I mentioned, we do have the opportunity for our fan favorite here. And we're going to ask you to text in your fan favorite to our number, which we'll show in a second. And then I'm going to ask our judges to head out of the room with my colleague Camila as you deliberate and think about which of these wonderful finalists is going to be our winner tonight. And so I'm going to transition us to our conversation portion of the evening. And before I ask you guys to come on stage, I'd love to just take a moment to introduce our special guest tonight. Assemblyman Michael Blake was born and raised in the Bronx and now represents the 79th District of the New York State Assembly. Before representing neighborhoods in the South Bronx, Assemblyman Blake was an aide to President Obama for 6 years, including 2.5 years at the White House, serving as Director of African American Minority Business and state and local elected official outreach. Today, in conversation with Cheryl Dorsey, he brings his background in community organizing, entrepreneurship, and policy to a discussion on the future of work here in New York City. So I'd like to welcome you to the stage, Cheryl and Assemblyman Blake. Thank you.
And Assemblyman Blake, there's a button here. I did not have mine on, but it is on now. So Jana gave us an introduction of our keynote speaker, Assemblyman Blake. I'd like to share just a little bit more about his illustrious background because we're so honored to have him here with us tonight. In addition to all the many accomplishments that Jana just shared, Assemblyman Blake also sits on the board of the My Brother's Keeper Alliance, an organization that Echoing Green has worked with through our Black Male Achievement Fellowship program. And in 2016, Assemblyman Blake became the first sitting elected official to serve as a fellow at the Harvard University Institute of Politics. I'm a proud Kennedy School alum, so I love that they continue to bring top talent to the school and expose next-gen talent like Assemblyman Blake to rising leaders. I will say that we don't have enough time with Assemblyman Blake because I think he is being honored this evening at another event. I've heard through the grapevine that you're joining Columbia, South Carolina Mayor and newly inaugurated President of the U.S. Conference of Mayors, Steve Benjamin, at an event tonight as part of the 2018 Smart Cities New York Conference. So let's quickly dig in. And again, we're so honored to be in conversation with you tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So first, we've now spent the evening hearing these extraordinary pitches from these young people with fresh and innovative ideas in the future of workspace. I actually recently had the pleasure of watching a part of your 2018 State of the District address, in which you talked about connecting the young people in your district to training, jobs, access to capital. Assemblyman Blake, can you share a little bit with us more about how you're thinking about this important future of work conversation? It's awfully big, but I'd like to hear, and I'm sure we'd all like to hear how you're approaching that conversation.
What up? Good to be with you, Cheryl. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
This is a conversation that is not just of interest to me, but it's personal to me. So allow me just very briefly to give context itself. So I grew up in the Bronx, New York. The Bronx is home for me. Clearly, I'm very happy about how well the Yankees are playing right now, you know, exactly. And so 1.4 million people live in the Bronx. If the Bronx were its own city, it would be the 7th largest city in America. Just never forget the magnitude of the numbers we're talking about. So that in that same aspect, my assembly district, which goes from 153rd in Melrose to 183rd in Southern Boulevard. So the second you step into the Bronx, you've left my district. So 31 blocks north to south, 126,000 people, 108 schools, yet within the poorest congressional district in America. Let me take it a step further. The same Park Avenue that you reside and interact with here in Manhattan is the exact same Park Avenue in the Bronx. So you go from being in the center of wealth into the poorest congressional district on literally the exact same block. And so when we talk about this conversation, the data point that has resonated the most with me is that by 2020, 65% of employers are saying that someone must have some form of post-secondary education in order for the jobs of that day. You know, but yet in the South Bronx, only 20% will have that degree by the age of 25. Wow. So when we think about this, this is not a theoretical conversation for me. This is necessity. This is about humanity. This is about the reality, the way Reverend Barber said, and I've kind of rephrased in different ways. You know, how is it that you can get unleaded gas, but you can't get lead-free paint? Right. You know, how is it that you have unleaded gas, you can't get unleaded water? Like something's wrong about that. And so the future of work for me is about the future of now in terms of the necessity of livelihood. And so I tie this together in terms of, make sure to use a flash. I'm a dark brother right now. Just saying, help me out right now, right? Just saying, right? It's, you know I got the lights going back here and everything, but the lights, everything, okay, we good. Just making sure, right? Just saying, just put that on the gram. Mike Blake, 1922, MR Mike Blake, you know, hit me up either way. Nonetheless, you know, JP Morgan Chase did a study, which brings us all home in terms of, to your question, how do I make it practical? Right. Says in the last 5 years, 45% of jobs came out of two industries, healthcare and technology. But simultaneously, in that same time frame, 46% of those that were graduated did not have this necessary education for the jobs of today, not even of tomorrow, the jobs of today. Right. And so what we think about it is, how do you make this practical? And our whole focus is, you can't talk about future of work unless you're talking about skills. We can keep talking about the industries, we can keep talking about the opportunities, but if you're not preparing people, it's an irrelevant conversation. So today, this morning, we actually had a job fair with Educational Opportunity Center, and we don't just do job fairs, we do skills fairs. Because I wanna make sure people are being connected to what's happening on the ground. In large part, again, I make it very practical. Our largest employer in our district is Bronx Lebanon, the clinic, but our second largest employer is Golden Crust. So anytime you eat beef patties, I say thank you. Right? And so, but then in that aspect, think about this. Food has an interplay in all of our lives all the time, multiple times a day.
So how am I training you to have the skills of today? So then we connect you with Green Bronx Machine so that you can then have that connection. So that's how we make it practical. But again, I go back to where I started in that aspect. 65% of jobs by 2020 will require some form of post-secondary education for the jobs of that time. We can't talk about future work unless we're talking about skills.
And the numbers don't lie, do they? That's really, the statistics say it all. So Assemblyman Blake, you know, the very definition of social innovation is the blurring of sector boundaries, sort of the blurring between business, the social sector, and the state.
That's right.
To create new and shared public value. How do you, as an elected official and someone who has worked at the federal, state, and local level, think about the role of government in social innovation? I think most of us who don't exist in your lane don't understand how to navigate the government. So give us a 101 on how we should think about the interplay.
So I start, Cheryl just mentioned, so I've been blessed. I've been able to be engaged at all three levels of government. I worked for President Obama on both campaigns. I was in the White House for 2.5 years. I directed his minority women business strategy. I created the urban entrepreneurship program. So I'm grateful to see, especially all the women that are standing up right now. Brothers, y'all cool too, but I'm just saying, right? Like, you know what I'm saying, right? You know, in that aspect. But, you know, what went through my mind regularly is something that Tom Perez, who's the chair of our Democratic National Committee, he would say regularly, and that the piece that we miss the most of not being in government is how you can help people at scale. How you could do one thing and you could help millions of people literally in seconds, you know? And so when I think about the role of government, the question should be, for me in large aspect, what am I doing to help someone at scale get a better economic opportunity? You know, so when we think this all through in that aspect, we've been able to secure the American Entrepreneurship Award. We're the second place in the country. Miami was first. A 10-year commitment from the Libra Group for $500,000 to provide access to capital to entrepreneurs in the South Bronx to help them grow their businesses. And if you don't win the award, we still keep you connected to training, an aspect to talk to you about, well, why didn't you win the competition? Let's connect you to someone who may not be a part of that competition as well. That's in that aspect. You know, secondly, how do we have the broader dynamic of the strategy of what are the policies that we can create? The signature policy that fortunately I was able to work on, that became law, is that any business that contracts with New York State that's below 300 employees will now get paid in 15 days instead of 30 days. You know, what does that mean? For any of you that are entrepreneurs, let's make it real practical. If you have to wait to get paid, it has impact on your life, right? And especially if you're the subcontractor or you're the sub, because then you're waiting on the prime to get paid in that aspect. And so for me, how do I help at scale? And very practically in state government, the best way I try to describe it to people, and the Schneiderman fiasco the last 48 hours itself, which is just wrong and misogynistic for so many different levels, but I'm going to drive it to your question. There are 150 assembly members in New York State. There are 63 senators. 213 people vote on a $168 billion budget every single year. So it's pretty relevant who you're elected in state office. When you talk about the conditions here in the state, when you talk about the economic opportunities, when you talk about how that's connected to you, when you think about the Education Opportunity Center, when you think about the skills trainings, when you think about the connections in terms of Startup New York and beyond, all these pieces are intertwined because, again, that's how the role of government plays. So to your question, if we are doing our job well, our job should be creating the atmosphere for success. You know, it should not be about creating a scenario where someone can't thrive. We should be making it easier for people to do well in that. You shouldn't be prescribing who's going to win the deal, but you should make it fairer for someone to have a chance in the deal in the first place.
Well said. Well said. I just want to let you know, again, this is a good lesson for all of you young innovators. When you've got an elected official, an important person, you got to grab them and make your pitch while we're in front of you. So I wanted to just, I know, it's all good.
Here we go.
Now, Assemblyman Blake, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that we actually do have a number of incredible social entrepreneurs that we funded over the years in the Bronx, from Adam Green rocking the boat to Cordine Lewis Allen, who's running Made in Brownsville. It's an extraordinary talent, as you well know, in the district that you represent.
I've had no interaction with Echo and Green in the Bronx.
Yet. It's going to change.
I'm being
You're
very,
being facetious.
very
You
much
do-
so.
Okay. Of course, of course. So we just want to do more. We want
Okay.
to do more. So great things are happening
What up,
there.
Decker? What up, Decker?
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. One of our
Yeah.
former colleagues who was instrumental in setting up our Black Male Achievement Fellowship Program. You know, I was in getting prepped to talk to you. I was sort of looking at a lot of the prime sponsored legislation that you have introduced, and really important stuff, from creating a tax credit for employment of persons on probation or parole, to directing contracting state agencies to develop a growth plan in order to increase participation of women-owned businesses, minority-owned business with respect to state contracts and subcontracts, to mandating that juniors and seniors in secondary schools take a financial literacy course and personal finances course. Amazing, right? And that was just sort of a small list of all the things that Assemblyman Blake has been working on. Can you just tell us a little bit more? What is working on the ground in your district? How are you thinking through strategies to ensure that not only are good jobs available, but broader equitable opportunities are available for your constituents?
So the word you just said is tied to our vision. We talk about equity, you know, so our vision is called 3-2-1. There are the 3 E's of economic development, education, and equity. Initially, it was equality for all, but I made the conscious decision last year that, quite frankly, it wasn't about equality for me. It was about equity. You know, it was about fairness. It was about opportunities, about that understanding, but you got to share resources. Some communities start off in a better position than others. We just got to be real about that and creating those opportunities in that aspect. The two are the 2 paths: minority and women-owned businesses getting an access to capital, contracting, and counseling. And also, how do you have a career-oriented education so someone can actually go from school to graduating and getting a job? What's the point of graduating? You can't get a job, you know? And then the one is how to make the South Bronx the urban metropolis of the world. And so when we think about our strategy, a lot of that is around the equity vision. And so very practically, we thought, how do you assess the major components of life in the community and focus there? You know, so number one, everyone cares about having a good home to live in. A lot of people can't afford the house they live in. And equally, it can't just be a conversation of, do you have a house to rent or to buy, but do you actually understand the language of money? You know, John Hope Bryan says this all the time with Operation Hope. He said, we can't keep talking about civil rights unless we're going to talk about silver rights. That's right. And so we've been able to partner up with Alex Rodriguez and J-Lo and Cedric Bobo and Fred Green with Project Destin. And we were the 4th city in the country selected for this, so that young people could learn the language of money when it comes to real estate. How do you understand how to actually own the property? And if you go through the program and you successfully complete the program and you're selected in this, 20% of the assets that come from the 20% of the equity rather from the asset will go to scholarships for those young people. So it creates a condition of, let's understand the language of money. Let's create an effort on entrepreneurship. A bunch of your sorors in Albany yesterday. Okay, she's a Delta right there. All right,
there you go.
And figuring out how to make that practical on the ground. American Entrepreneurship Board, I brought that up as a tactical example. WeBo, Workshop in Business Opportunities. We've collaborated with them. Let's bring people into the room and let me understand from you, what is the reason why you can't get the success that you should have? The tagline I've been saying a lot for my team: your block won't block your blessing, your zip code won't deny your destiny.
Love that.
Right? And so let me understand, your block won't block your blessing, your zip code won't deny your destiny. You know, right?
Yep.
So like and so to that aspect, the reason why that's relevant to your question, too often we're creating strategies that are citywide and borough-wide and neighborhood-wide. That is ridiculous. It is inefficient, and that is completely contradictory to the future of work. You got to ask yourself, what's going on that block?
Yeah. Yep.
What's going on in this zip code? AMI, for example, the prohibitive factor, and I'm intentionally saying prohibitive factor, in how housing is determined. The area median income that is determined for the 5 boroughs is not just for the 5 boroughs. It includes Westchester and Putnam and Dutchess. That doesn't make any sense. How do you include literally the richest county in America and factoring in affordability in the poorest congressional district? That doesn't make any sense in that aspect. And so when I say the block, what's happening on that one block? So if I represent 21% of my constituents live in public housing, it would be silly for me not to create a strategy that's not focused on that. And so I tie those all together and be very tactical in that aspect.
Do we have time for one more question? We got to be respectful. Okay, terrific. And I will just say, social innovation is sort of the lifeblood of Echoing Green, and I believe so deeply in it. But you are such an important reminder of why top young talent has got to run for office. We are not going to get out of the mess that we're in unless some of us step up and run. So thank you for the work that you're doing.
And also pray for Kanye. I mean, just man.
I have to say, this is a silly aside, but at the opening of the Legacy Museum down in Montgomery, Alabama, Questlove had the T-shirt on, Kanye West doesn't care about black people. I was terrible.
I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm hurt.
Make hip hop great again. Get rid of Kanye. But I'm saying,
we gotta pray for him.
I'm saying what y'all been thinking. It's okay. Okay.
It'll be okay. I hope. So very quickly,
of course,
you've had these incredible young folks who just pitched. What advice would you give them as emerging leaders who are really committed to social impact, and all those who are either watching through Facebook Live or in the audience, how to show up, how to make a difference, and how to do it through the lens of impact?
So first, I'm proud of you, everybody. Not just those that are pitching, but everybody in the room. I'm proud of you. I'm grateful for you. And we thank you. I would have never envisioned that I would be sitting here. I mean, I'm the son of Jamaican immigrants. My mom came here to the States, worked 40 years in a manufacturing plant. My daddy mopped hospital floors at St. Barnabas Hospital, 1199 SEIU. I'm the baby of 4 boys. I went to PS 79. You can't tell me education doesn't break through. My elementary school was the one that Jonathan Kozol wrote about in Savage Inequality Children in American Schools. I was there at that time in that aspect. I always tell people, dream big dreams. That was the first advice that then Senator Obama gave me. And he always would tell us that people, especially people of color and women, too often get comfortable dreaming small dreams and accomplishing those only, right? As opposed to dream big, dream bold, go get it. I want to go run this. The analogy and story I would give is I remember when we had that great run in 2008, we won a bunch of states in a row. And he was in the elevator with Reggie Love and the rest of the team. And they kept saying to him, like, boss, why are you not more excited because we won so many of these races? I mean, at that point, if you remember in 2008, we had won like 12 states in a row. And he said, I'll say what Magic Johnson said. It's not about winning conference championships. It's about winning titles. Right? Yeah. He was like, you got to have a different kind of mindset when you're trying to go change the game. Right? And if you're an entrepreneur, which is very similar to being a politician, you have to be audacious enough to believe that your ideas can change lives, right? You have to fundamentally believe, the way you're making your pitches, that there is no one else that can do what I can do as well as I can do it, right? And folks will try to tell you, you're arrogant, you're ridiculous, why would you say that? And no offense, but the reality is, for 400 plus years we've been hearing that, we'll break that, right? And so you got to have a shift in that conversation. So very tactically and practically, number one, create an asset map. You really understand, who's in your circle of influence, right? Really have a clear gauge of who has the money, who has media, who has the bodies. If you show up to a conversation with money and capacity, you have power in that conversation. People that don't have power are the ones that just complain and can't do shit, right? That's just the reality. Everybody knows. Everybody got that one cousin that always complains, right? But like, they haven't been working for a long time. They've been sitting on your couch, eating your food, don't want to apply for a job. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't be looking at me like I'm the only one right now, right? And so like in that aspect, it's, okay, what am I coming to the table with? And let me have a conversation with other folks in my orbit about what we're going to bring. That's number one. Number two, determine your end goals and then work backwards. Too often, people are creating business plans, and I've reviewed thousands of business plans, in which their business plan is only thinking about today. They're not asking themselves, what's the outcome at the end? There's a dramatic difference between goals and objectives. Goals is just the visionary aspect you're trying to go. At the end of the day, what's the objective you're trying to accomplish? And then work backwards from there. One piece of advice while I was sitting here, some of you did not actually communicate very clearly the end objective of what you want. You were talking about how you are qualified. But if I give you this help, what's going to change, right? It's like when you look at a resume, a lot of times people list on a resume, they put their job description. They haven't actually put on there what has changed because of you, right? Don't tell me that I did these 4 or 5 bullet points. You're just telling me what you were supposed to do, right? What actually changed because of you in this role, right? And so in that aspect. And then lastly, going back to the data of it all, people of color will be the majority in this country by 2050, if not earlier. Some say it could be as early as 2042. Some say it could be as early as 2038. The numbers shift depending on population growth and baby growth. There are more babies of color being born in Texas, for example, than white babies. And there are 50 1,000 Latinos that turn 18 in this country every single month. I just want people to understand the magnitude of the numbers. Tying it to politics. In 2021, 38 of the 51 city council seats, the mayor's seat, the public advocacy, and the comptroller seat in New York City will all be open.
Wow.
The shift that will happen. And so why is that relevant to this question? Because as my team hears often, and Joanna and Jolie all hear me say this all, I have a rule called the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance.
Okay.
Right? And so if you tie it together in that aspect, that's how you move the needle in that conversation. I will close by saying thank you, that I'm grateful for you. I gave you my social media earlier. Mr. Mike Blake is Twitter, Mike Blake 1922. If you want to DM me or hit me up, I'm happy to do that. The last data point I would say, because we get a chance to talk about this, but in the audience, millennials, very concretely, millennials are the largest voting bloc in the country now.
Yes.
And so there has to be a strategy and a tactic and being engaged. And the one piece we didn't get, because the time being short, is the impact of social media.
For sure.
And how do you utilize that to help realize your dreams? And if I can be helpful in any way, I'm happy to do that. And I welcome you to the Bronx and the rest of New York City.
Please join me in thanking Assemblyman Blake. Thank you so much. Thank you. You are fabulous. Thank you.
Assemblyman Blake, if we could just take a photo with our
Of course, come on.
finals, come on up.
Come on. Cheryl. Oh, thanks. Proud of you. Thank you. Proud of you. Proud of you. Keep crushing. Of course.
As they take a
Very
photo,
well.
we're going to round up our judges and hear a little
my
bit
pleasure.
more about where they're netting out in their deliberations. Really excited to see which of our finalists is going to be tonight's awardee.
Thank you, Assemblyman.
From where? Remind me.
One of the hackathons we did with the Listen Mind.
Oh, of course. Oh, dang. That's what's up.
Hey, there
Where are we going? Am I here?
Okay, you want you to put you in the center there, Assemblyman?
Okay.
Perfect.
So where's your camera? Up there. Okay. All right. Got it. All right. Look here, please. All right. All right. Now I'm that dude. Who's got the phone?
Are you going to do something?
Come on, turn around.
All right. All right, you all get in. So
All right, don't fall off.
I know.
Tighten up, get tight. What up, though? I can see some of y'all back there. What up?
Perfect.
All right, there we go.
Awesome.
Hey, send that to me, man. Here. You're welcome. Take care, everybody.
So much.
Of course. Anything you need.
Thank you so much. And it was just so great to have Cheryl and Assemblyman Blake give us that broader context on what the future of work is looking like. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Decker, he's on his way out. Okay, you heard it here first.
Teaser. All right. Do we have our judges coming back into the room? Oh, you guys are here. You're here. That was so quick. Wonderful. So this is our final moment. I'm going to bring up to the stage again Claire O'Connor, who is going to announce tonight's winner of the Social Innovation Challenge. So come on up, Claire.
Phenomenal job. So, congratulations to all of you. And I think the way you told the story just made it resonate for all of us. There is only one winner, and I am delighted to present Stephen Pacheco and his team.
You're getting a.
I love it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, and congratulations again, Stephen. You guys are all winners, and I know that you really soaked up everything you could today, and you're going to leave better and stronger. And all of the people in this room, I know we're here behind you and to support you. And so we hope to see all of your visions come to reality. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to close us out, and I just want to say thank you again. Thank you to Barclays, to Rise New York, to Emergence Creative, and to Smart Cities New York. For your partnership on this event. We are just so proud of these young leaders and so excited to see where they go. If you want to continue this conversation, Echoing Green has 2 more events in May and June focused on the future of work. So check out our website to learn a little bit more about our upcoming events and upstarts. And I hope you'll take some time to just give some high fives over here to these kids before they leave. Thank you guys again for coming.